Hey folks, today's a good day, don't you think, Patty?
It is very good.
And you know, I think it's going to be a good few days because we're here in Kentucky with a very special Rob and Patti on the Run episode. We are going to be tasting history on Kentucky's Bourbon Trail. We're going to start at the Heaven Hills Distillery. That's where we are right now. Hey, let's go try some bourbon.
Yes.
This is the Heaven Hill Bourbon Experience building. It's a fairly new addition to the property. They have a very nice display of all the different bourbon brands that they make. And upstairs is the Five Brothers Cocktail Lounge. So we happen to be doing this tour of Kentucky during Patty's birthday week. So everybody, wish Patti a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dear Happy birthday to you. Where you from, man? Wisconsin. All right, you'll never be any younger.
Our tour guide walked us through the proper way of tasting these different bourbons and whiskeys. He let us know what we should be smelling and tasting. This was very informative, and we're pretty good. We got to try 5 different bourbons and whiskeys.
Yes, ma'am.
They had sort of a bourbon museum back here that showed the 5 brothers that started the Heaven Hill Distillery. Well, that was our short little visit to Heaven Hill Distillery. We just did a tasting here of 5 different mash bills, little bourbons and whiskeys we got to try. I think it's a good start for our Bourbon Trail adventures. This morning we're taking a tour of the Maker's Mark Distillery. We'll be doing a full tour and of course doing some sampling. The grounds here are just amazingly beautiful. Our tour guide walked us around the grounds and then brought us into the distillery to check out the fermentation that was taking place. It's a lot of fermentation going on.
Here we have 8 wood fermenters, and these wood fermenters here are quite old, approximately around 10,000 gallons up to 3 days.
The yeast were pretty happy that day. We had a beautiful day for walking around the grounds of the distillery. We then entered one of the rick houses to see where the barrels age for several years. In this building, they do the finishing process for some of their bourbons. Every one of their bourbon bottles is hand-dipped with their signature red wax. We are about to do another tasting. Looking forward to it?
Yep.
Every bottle filled with the rinser. That's where each and every bottle is rinsed out with actual Maker's Mark bourbon. Majority of our drinks here at the distillery with. Also, I know you can't see.
Patti and I decided to dip a couple bottles to bring home for souvenirs.
Perfect. Give it a little turn and set her down. Wonderful.
There you go, Pat. Beautiful. Look at that, Patty.
Okay, thank you.
That's the best one I bet you've ever seen.
Best one today.
Yeah.
That's my first one dipping today, so she's had a good time.
That pretty much finishes our tour of Maker's Mark. Here are some of the rick houses. We had a really educational and fun tour. Hey, we're starting today Patti's birthday at Rabbit Hole Distillery. Let's go on inside. Rabbit Hole Distillery is fairly new, only about 10 years old. They've taken time to design their building with visitors in mind. I never got to do this in any brewery or distillery I visited. They encouraged us to taste the mash at various phases of fermentation. This is pretty cool.
Alrighty guys, looks like the Fountain of Youth over here, right? So this right here is our spirit safe. Frosted flakes, sugar cookies, French toast. I had a guy a couple weeks ago tell me something tastes like a if you guys want to go ahead and take that sip, I get most of those floral herbaceous notes.
That was a very interesting tour of the Rabbit Hole Distillery. It's quite a bit more modern than the last one we were to.
Yeah, more current.
Yeah, so, you know, hey, if you get a chance, you're in Louisville, Kentucky, check out Rabbit Hole. We liked it.
It was very good.
Our next stop on Kentucky's Bourbon Trail is the Evan Williams Bourbon Experience.
How we got involved in American history, Kentucky history, bourbon history. You don't learn about Evan Williams.
This was a very different distillery tour. It's basically a multimedia presentation where you walk through history.
Bourbon has a consistency of flavor and taste. After a couple of days in the fermenting tank, you'll see a few bubbles on the surface. That's the yeast doing its work converting the grain mash into alcohol. Uptight. For 13 long years, folks across the nation couldn't get some. Everyone knew getting them back up and running would cost a
Most of these are all
Another distillery off of our list, Evan Williams. That was a little bit different, a little multimedia presentation, brought us back to the old times. Now, where should we go?
We need to see a bat.
Let's go see a bat. Hey, we found that bat.
Yes, we did.
There it is. Let's take a closer look. This is a big bat. Today's distillery is Four Roses Distillery. This is going to be a little bit of a different tour. It's actually going to just be a sip and stroll tour. We're not going to get to see the distillery. We're just going to enjoy the grounds and the beautiful weather we're having here in Kentucky. We're having a good day.
Very good day.
The Four Roses tour was a very relaxing tour. We just sort of strolled around the grounds wearing headsets, listening to our tour guide. This distillery was built way back in 1910, and it was built in the Spanish mission style, something you usually don't see in Kentucky. I really enjoyed this tasting experience. And hey, we got to keep a couple of the Four Roses glasses. Okay, Patty, what do you think?
It was a good tour.
Yeah, what did you like about it?
Just walking around and this was really good.
It was sort of a strawberry raspberry lemonade with a bit of bourbon in it. Got to sip it as we were touring around. Hey, it looks like another tour group is showing up here. This was a really nice tour. We did get to see part of the distillery,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
which was awesome. They actually age and barrel and age their stuff off site here. And you know what? This is probably my favorite tour so far.
Yeah, it was very good.
I never expected so many people to be here. Some people were here 3 hours early. Well, this is our last distillery stop on Kentucky's Bourbon Trail. We're at the Buffalo Trace Distillery. We're not going to be taking a tour at all. We just came here for the allocated bourbon that they have. Today we got some Blanton's, which is going to be nice to share, and we're going to do a little tasting. Buffalo Trace is the maker of some pretty famous brands of bourbon. Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, Weller, Blanton's, E.H. Taylor. All pretty fine bourbons that are actually pretty hard to get. Very nice gift store and a very nice tasting experience.
Biscuit over pie. I bake a cake and poke holes in it and call it a Trace, T-R-A-C, root beer home. Who knew you'd come to a distillery for root beer?
Patti is being helpful to a couple tourists. Well, that was our quick stay here at the Buffalo Trace Distillery. Had a little sampling, had some really interesting stuff. Actually had root beer in our taste sample. And Buffalo Trace is unique. They don't charge for their tours or their sampling, which is kind of a cool thing because I think we spent $200 in the gift shop. So
Where everybody else is spending their money.
yeah, they're getting their money's worth. I think we had a pretty good time. Well, with that, that's the end of this episode of Rob and Patti on the Run, visiting Kentucky's Bourbon Trail. We saw a lot of history and we had a great time. We actually visited 8 distilleries. We took you with us on, I think, 6 of those, maybe 5 of those. We visited a couple others and bought a few things at the gift store. By the way, we didn't realize how much we bought at the gift store. And we bought some good stuff. All of these distilleries were really a part of history. A lot of them have been around, like Four Roses, for 135 years. They've seen the Great Depression, a couple world wars, Prohibition, and you know what? They're doing okay today. And then there's other ones like Rabbit Hole that's only been around a short while, but they're doing pretty darn good. You know, we only visit 8 of these distilleries, but there's a whole lot more on that Kentucky Bourbon Trail. How many would you say?
Probably over 20.
Dozens. I would think there's dozens. And you know what the most amusing thing about this whole week was? Neither Patti or I really care for bourbon. But we like history and we like seeing history in the works. These are very historical places and we are really happy we went. You know, I think I have a better appreciation for bourbon now.
Yeah.
I'll probably stick with beers. Patti's probably going to stick with wines. But now we have a bunch of bourbons that we can experiment with and see if our palate matures over time and enjoy some of these a little better.
Or make mixed drinks.
Mixed drinks are a good idea. You might not want to use the $100 bottle we bought to make a Diet Coke and bourbon, but who knows? It might be tasty. Hey, we're having a great day. We had a great few days.
Yep.
Hope whatever you guys are doing, you're having a great day. See you next time. Bye.